Calvin, can you just add in some like Michael Bay Transformer like epic tunes over that? The way that Doug delivered that, we need like huge Michael Bay orchestra stuff. Thank you.
Every year in the UK, there is £4 billion of bad debt. For a lot of businesses, this is misery, closure, and disaster. You can save the day by setting up a billing company. And today we're going to look at that. And we're going to look at that in some sectors which are growing, which are huge, and where the demand is massive. Rich is going to try and insert some tech in there, which is not the route we want to go to.
Predictable.
Okay, this is hardcore, this is gritty, this is boots on the ground. But I think it's a phenomenal opportunity to have a really sizable services business within 18 months. You know, I love these boring businesses. And I think this today, I've really gone to the extreme.
If you had done yourself.
Yeah, it's really extreme today in terms of boring. But what it is knotty, rank work. It's a little bit complicated. There's a lot of friction and problems. You need decent people, decent infrastructure, decent tech. We are in the world of medical billing. So,
sexy.
Medical billing. And huge industry, but going to get way bigger over the next 5 or 10 years as people do more private work. So I've been looking into it. I've been looking at the biggest medical billing company in the UK, a company called Civica. Civica. Nice little website, really clear prop. And what they do, they go to your doctor. They've got a little video. They call him Dr. Smith. And he does his procedure and then they chase up the money. Kind of sounds simple, but because of the insurance industry, it's way more complicated. So like private individual paying, that's a problem, just generally chasing someone that needs to pay for a procedure. That's an issue anyway. But then you've got the world of insurance where you've got to chase up insurance companies to pay. And there's all these codes that change a lot. So it's actually it's just a fiddly thing to do. There's also people that pay from overseas and you need to go to embassies. Just a mess. You know, not something that a doctor is going to have any skills probably for, or certainly not the time.
I know a little bit about this topic. One of the companies we just invested in is about medical payments.
Tell me about them.
They're not out yet, so we'll call it Stealth Company A. Are trying to combat medical billing with inside of the kind of like 100 to 1,500 to $2,000 space. You know, kind of where you don't want to do your deductible and your insurance, you don't necessarily want to pay your excess, but a credit card or a, you know, some other means
what
of payment
amounts
isn't
again,
necessarily
Rich?
suitable.
Between
100 to like $2,000.
So what sort of stuff? So I had a carpal tunnel surgery that was about 2,500. That kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, so it's going to be a new fintech product to tackle that gap where people don't want to put it in insurance, don't necessarily want to whack it on their Amex at 29%, or don't have the cash within it. So that's that. There's a massive lift in private kind of healthcare within inside that range after COVID because nobody can go and get those operations or those things done. So there's a huge spike moving through kind of private med, and that is the space this founder is looking to tackle. And we've recently just
so it might be like your cataract surgery or your carpal tunnel.
Yeah, it's like any dental, any kind of like sub 2,500 kind of operation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, definitely a growing space. I think a win here is, you know, tech enabled human. That fintech can fuck off, and I'm sure.
You know, Doug. I mean, the ink is still wet on the contract. Doug's like, get rid of it. 24-month contract, fuck them off.
I don't
get rid.
Look.
Go on, bin it.
I want that tech. I'll have it, but I want it in the hands of I want a call center, right? I want some people.
Of course you do.
Headsets,
of course
right?
you do.
And I want people that can send nuanced, sophisticated emails to people that aren't paying. and that can deal with annoying insurance companies. I like your tech. It might work down at the cheap stuff, right? But I want, because you know that billing, and it's the same for our business, and I'm sure it's the same for yours. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of subtlety involved in getting people to pay stuff. So you got your call center, headsets, people. You got your process. You got your fintech layered on top. I think if you could just bring all that together, like I'm sure to be fair, Civica have, it's a huge market. I don't think you need to do anything particularly new here. I just think you need to get your people in your room and then just start.
Are you right? You want to create a debt collection agency, don't you? That's what
a little bit.
Let's just call it. Let's call a spade. You want to get into debt collection, and you want to do it for people who've gone through trauma, gone through struggles with their health, and you're like, no, you know what? Tee them up, and I'm going for them. And I want 25 people in, I don't know, Peterborough. You're not going to give them tables, no chairs, no nothing. Just a landline and a laptop. And that's it. Crush.
Yeah, they can have your bit of tech.
Good. I mean,
your little bit of tech, lady.
Sleep well, Doug.
That's what I'm going to do. Right, but I'm going to create. But this is for the good of the world, because we're going to create private medical bad debts going to be under 1%, and we're going to massively improve our practitioners' margins. There might be commission involved. I'm not sure. What I think is interesting, though, in all seriousness, is. I do like this business. I think this is a Me Too business. You just need a good brand. You just need a good process. You, in truth, probably need some really nice tech layered in, maybe your little fintech thing, maybe internal CRM. And I think you could do this really, really efficiently. It's probably way harder than it sounds. Because the great thing is all of your sales pitch is quite easy. And when I look at a business, I always think, am I going to be able to sell this in? Number one, all of these medical companies, none of them are hidden. They're all there in plain sight. You can access these people. A little bit hard to get to the decision makers because they're going to be busy. I don't love that. But the sales pitch is, are you getting stung? And for most of the answer will be yes. A lot of them will be in the consideration funnel somewhere for this kind of debt collection or medical billing. And you just need to get them over the line. Look, we'll do it, and you need a really good offer for them. You know, you probably do it for no cost. You do it as a percentage of collections, and you just go and you just hoover up 500, 600, 700 of these practitioners, and you are going to have, I think, a really high net margin business that is going to be sticky as hell, because they are not going to want to change you once you're in. So I think this is a lovely service business.
I mean, Civica don't do specific healthcare debt collection. They do billing and payments for when you're paying for it. Then I don't know whether people get to leave without paying. I might have to come for this idea a bit, Doug.
No, because I think with insurance they collect after. So
you mean the deductible, the excess? You mean?
I don't know exactly. But they are collecting money after procedures, definitely with insurance.
Yeah.
With the individuals, I think in theory they pay up front. But again, I think in practice, sometimes, somebody hasn't paid, but they've already booked it in, and they just kind of do the procedure because the person needs it, and then they need to chase it. I think it's...
Okay, so sorry. So you're looking at practitioner has done the work, person who's had the work done and said, I'm going to go and put this through my Bupa insurance. Fair enough, right? There's going to be an excess for that person. They handle that with Bupa. You're then working for the people who are conducting the operations to go and collect from Bupa for them. So you're working as an agent on their side to make sure Bupa pay you back.
You're working for the doctor.
Yes. Okay. Glad I'm getting this. I'm still on like debt collection. Yeah, I'm a bit slow. Sorry, Doug.
So what's interesting about this is, right, let's just shift. And I think this can actually work in other sectors as well, really, really well. So And this is how you do this. So let's just take a window fitting company, an architect, a law firm. All of these professional service businesses have this problem as well, where they've got outstanding debts, they've got bad debt. They've just not only are they not getting paid, there's sometimes it's just the age receivables are just so long, and they just haven't got their cash flow sorted. Those businesses also need billing operations, and some of them do it in-house, but that's obviously pretty expensive. If you've got a plug-and-play billing operation, I think you can do that in other sectors. The way, and this is, I think, the opportunity here, the way that you go to market with this is you can pay for data that looks at bad debt. So there's £4 billion every year of bad debt in the UK. So, and that's business bad debt. So, construction company X goes to the wall and window fitting company doesn't get paid. That data exists. So all you need to do, you just need to find companies that have been stung, of which there are hundreds every day. Because once the company goes into insolvency, you can see the list of creditors that aren't going to get paid. So that all is in the public domain. And then you can start approaching those companies and saying, look, I noticed that you didn't get paid from this company when they went bust. If you had a billing infrastructure in place, there would be way less chance of that happening, because we can make sure that, we're getting paid faster, we're getting paid on time. And you can also layer into it pre-checking your customers. So what you can do is you can look at your customers and say, you've got 30 construction companies you work for. We can look at the ones that are in any kind of financial distress and let you know that they're a payment risk. So we're actually going to get out ahead of the problem. So billing, I love. Medical billing, I think, is growing, can work. But I think if you move that into other sectors, we've got tech-enabled call centers in Peterborough.
Yeah, I mean, I am genuinely struggling to see how this was any different to an advanced debt collection company.
I think it's in the name, it's in the semantics. It is debt collection, but we call it medical billing because it sounds nicer.
Yeah, we can sleep at night. Yeah, I mean, I had a horrible situation not too long ago with Bromley Council. I moved out of Bromley in 2020, and during that whole pandemic phase, I completely forgot to pay my last council tax payment. It's like 80 quid or something small. That sat with Bromley for 2 years, right? And they contacted me. They did online searches, and they found an address for my only contact point from 2013. They said they could not find my profile anywhere online. They wrote to the crediting agency that I rented this flat from, couldn't find me anywhere. So they sent 7 letters to this address in 2013. I ended up having to pay the debt collection company £888 for an £80 thing from 3 years ago, because they had such poor information as a council that they said, oh, this is the information we've got. I said, did you look at my name online, my registered directorship, any of the addresses that I listed with the letting agency that went through? Oh no, sorry, our searches came back and this is all. And what it came back was from my third electoral roll. They chose an address from my electoral roll from 2013 and decided they were just going to pass all communication to that. So flipping slightly on debt collection, I think if you could provide a service to councils to effectively recover that used a brain instead of whoever the hell did it, like going Richard Sams, Beckenham, Bromley, you found my address just simply by the company name. And then it would have been sorted. They said they wasted 2.5 years. That's why it's going to cost me £888. Sounds like a completely inefficient searching system. So if we're going debt collection, Doug, I love your medical billing, debt collection. I think we could also look at how to make councils and government bodies efficient at debt collection, because they are useless. All they do is fail to find the information, pass it to a debt collector. Surprise, surprise, within 1 day, this debt collector's got me £375 fees. All they've done is 1 day. They picked it up like the day before they phoned me. And they were so aggressive. I was like, whoa, this is a complete mistake. I'm so sorry. I didn't realise this was the case. I would have paid it. Yeah. So maybe something in it. Do I think the idea is approaching the best part of it? Probably not. I do think there's a real problem in supporting governments to be more efficient than having to just pass to a traditional debt collection company. They said it was about data protection, even though they had my email and my telephone number. They would not email me or phone me, even though they had done prior, because they needed to go via postal address, yet the postal address they had was 10 years old. Work that out.
Do you know what I think the opportunity here is? If my life depended on making a business work in the next 12 months, I would take billing. I probably wouldn't go into medical billing because I think it's probably more nuanced and complicated than we think. And also there are big players there. I wouldn't touch councils, although I do like the idea, just because the sales cycle, I'd be dead by the time the sales cycle
you would. But it's grossly inefficient. I agree with you. Grossly inefficient though, but yeah, murderous sales cycle.
I think would work is I would search for companies that have been stung by bad debt, and I'll go in and I would say, look, we are going to monitor your customers for signs of insolvency risk, and then we're going to layer in some really efficient cash flow billing cycle, tech-enabled, human-enabled, and we take either a flat fee or maybe a percentage of invoices, and I would focus that on a couple of sectors that get stung a lot, which I don't know what they are. I suspect construction would be a really good one. But then any other kind of professional services will have bad debt and at the very least cash flow issues. So law firms, architects, that kind of thing.
Have you heard of those businesses that if you're so we've had this before, and we had a contract working with Ford, and we got approached on that. They found out about it somehow that we had this contract with Ford, and it wasn't mega big, but it was just some small work. And they said, we will advance your invoice for 5% of the invoice and take on that risk, which was quite interesting, I thought. So you're not sitting there, but you're kind of sitting in between, giving that advance information, saying this is a risk, this is a risk, this is a risk, this is what we can do, and we will work with you to ensure that you get paid, or we get paid, and therefore by proxy you get paid. It's an interesting space because there is, let's say, sometimes for small companies it's do or die if you don't get paid, isn't it? You know, trade to debt to trade ratio, and all the rest of it that we monitor internally. It's scary if it gets big.
Yeah, those factoring companies you're talking about, they'll use that data. They'll use the credit ratings of your customers. But you can get that straight from source as well, and kind of use that. Okay, all right. Well, billing.
Yeah, billing, debt collection though. That's just Calvin. When you put this up, that big yellow sign, just debt collection. Loved by Doug, not so much by Rich. Thank you very much, mate. We'll speak soon. Bye now.
Okay.